So, in yesterday's video, I did a rant, a big one, and I voiced my displeasure at Holland's body of work as Oilers GM so far. And I've only received one comment on that video, making a correction on my statement about McDavid only having 5 years left on his contract. And I'd like to thank the commenter for pointing out my mistake. I actually forgot that when McDavid signed his contract, he had just finished the second year of his entry level deal. So that, yeah, and even if I did take that into account, I was still wrong because I should have said 6 years. But in any case, McDavid has 7 years left on his contract. I just wanted to make that correction because it was pointed out to me. So thank you to that commenter. Um, but yesterday, looking back on the video, even with my disclaimer at the beginning about how, Holland isn't a wizard, he doesn't have a magic wand to make this all go away or fix all the problems, I felt I wasn't really. I forgot to mention the positive job that he's done so far. And I know I made it seem like he hasn't done anything positive yesterday, and that's only because my frustration is with how the team looks today. Let me put it like this. If the season started tomorrow, Holland has failed in his first offseason as GM. That's if the season started tomorrow. I am aware that the season doesn't start for another couple months. I know that training camp isn't around till the end of August, beginning of September. I am aware of that. And I am aware that he still has time to make a move. The only problem with that is, as each day goes by, that's an opportunity that he has missed to do something. In fact, one of the remaining UFAs I wanted him to signed with Carolina. Wasted opportunity. But I'm not here to talk about that. What I am here to talk about is something that I didn't touch on yesterday, or maybe the announcement came out after I had finished recording. The Oilers have made two hirings actually. They have hired Archie Henderson as the director of pro scouting and Tyler Wright as the director of amateur scouting. Now, as I said yesterday, I probably gave the impression I don't like Ken Holland at all. I gave the impression I don't like the guy. I have some major issues with the dude, and I do. It is a move that caters to the old boys club thinking of the Oilers management. It is a move where you're hiring a guy who I think is past his best before date. However, one thing I will say that I did do like about Ken Holland's job thus far as GM is what he's done with the management group. Let me be more specific. When he was hired, a number of changes in the management have happened. Craig McTavish is gone. Paul Coffey is gone. The director of pro scouting, Dwayne Sutter, was fired. The media guy, I forget his name, but I only say that because I feel like it was an irrelevant firing, but he was fired. A bunch of moves in the management have happened that have been changed. And as much as I don't like what he's done with the roster, the management I like. So let's talk about Archie Henderson and Tyler Wright. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't really know a lot about these two people. All I know is that they have ties to the Oilers at some point in time in their lives. If I remember correctly, Tyler Wright was a former player who was actually drafted by the Oilers, and Archie Henderson did something with the team. So the easy narrative to point out as the negative with these hires is that, again, old boys club bringing in former players or former whatever. And if that's the case, however, these guys can't be any worse than what the other guys did. The pro scouting side, especially, has been so bad, has been horrendous. It has been absolute a gong show. These guys couldn't scout a player if their life depended on it. If they wanted to make a trade acquisition and they trade for a player, then the pro scout would go, well, we should get this guy because uh we should get this guy because um no, let's get this guy because sorry. The point is, the pro scouting has been abysmal with Edmonton. It has been beyond horrendous. The amateur scouting has been even worse. The fact that the Oilers couldn't pick a player past the first round before the Chiarelli regime indicates how bad things have been. They before Peter Chiarelli arrived in Edmonton, and as bad as Peter was with his trades and his signings, I will give him credit for allowing the Oilers to draft past the first round. Because before he got there, the Oilers, this is how they tried to, this is, for me, how they drafted players past the first round. All right, let's see. We have our dart here. We have a dartboard. You're going to get that player. We'll take that guy. Or, here's an even better example. The Tobias Reeder for Cale Kessie trade. Now, this is one that is actually very funny because Toby Reeder actually did finish up a season with the Oilers, a season where he didn't score any goals, but that's besides the point. But Tobias Reeder was originally an Edmonton Oilers draft pick. And sometime, I want to say during the 2014 season, I really should be looking this stuff up before I go into this, but I'm just spitballing here. Sometime during the 2014 or 2013 season, the Oilers decided to make a trade. They sent Tobias Reeder to the Arizona Coyotes, or back then known as the Phoenix Coyotes, for a player by the name of Cale Kessie. Tobias Reeder would go on to play NHL games. I forget how many, but he would be an integral part of the Coyotes franchise for a few years. Cale Kessie would play 0 NHL games. None. And this is a management team, and this was all the result of a management team going, you know what, we don't really want this Tobias Reeder guy. We think that Cale Kessie kid could be something, so hey, Arizona GM, whoever your name is before John Chayka, do you want to take this Toby Reeder will kick Cale Kessie? Sure, alright, great, done deal, bye-bye. We won that trade. What do you mean? What do you mean he'll play games? What do you mean he won't? No? Oh well, we'll just get Toby Reeder another time. Can't hurt, right? The point is the pro scouting and the amateur scouting at the drafts and in terms of trade acquisitions has been shit. Absolute garbage. So, am I looking at the Archie Henderson and Tyler Wright hirings as old boys club moves? No, I'm not. Because, to be honest, the director, the scouting has been so bad, it doesn't really matter who's in that position. It has to be better. If it's still shit after this season, or 2 seasons, or however long the seasons are going to go, then I will look at this as an old boys club hire. I will look at it like that, as that's what it was, an old boys club hire. But if it can become better, then I will go, okay, it improved. I'm just looking for improvement. That is all. That's it. That's all I'm looking in terms of in terms of these hires. I just want I just want it to be better. I want this team to be better. That's all I'm asking for. I'm not being unfair. I'm not being unrealistic. right? I want this team to be successful, and the only way this team can be successful is if they draft right, which they have been since Peter Chiarelli was hired in 2015. And the trades and signings need to be better regardless. So those are my thoughts. Like, if it becomes better, if it becomes the same or worse, then why'd you hire them, right? And a lot of the talk also is because of Ken Holland's, I think it's especially with Archie Henderson, was the pro scout for Detroit when Holland was there in Detroit. So that connection is also being brought up. And, that's fine. This is, and you know what? This is what happens in this league. New managers are hired and they bring their old staff with them. When Todd McClellan was hired as the Oilers head coach in 2015, he brought over his assistants from the San Jose Sharks with him. Yeah, that's kind of how it's been. Managers and coaches bring their guys that they trust with them. I'm not upset about that. What I'm upset about is when a team owner decides that it's a good idea to have former players running the team. Because that generally never works out. Most of the time. There are a few exceptions, of course, but the point still stands. So, am I upset? Am I upset that the Oilers hired two people who are either former players or former associates of people within the organization? No, I'm not. I'm not upset at all. And like I said, I feel like I needed to put out a positive video after yesterday's rant because I was pissed yesterday. I had a person text me after they saw the video asking me why I was yelling at the end. Because I was pissed. That's why. So, the point is, I wanted to make a positive video today. And I think I've done that. I would hope. And this isn't going to be as long as yesterday's was. Yesterday was a bit of a rant. I don't intend to make 41-minute videos every day or every time it's related to an Oilers news on this OFR. But I definitely did want to kind of come out and talk about my thoughts on this. So, to recap, management-wise, I like the job Ken has done. I like what he's done with the management group because the management group definitely needed an overhaul. And while he hasn't completely done that yet, I think he's done enough that we can go, okay, well, maybe they'll be different. There is still one managerial move I would like to see happen, and that is our goalie coach getting fired because the goalie coach. Oh, God, I shudder to think what he does when he touches a goalie. Oh, God. He's done a bad job. He's done a terrible job with our goalies. There's a reason why our goalies have sucked. There's a reason why our goalies become better when they leave our team. It's because they're playing on a team that A, actually has a defensive system that works, B, they're being trained by a goalie coach who knows what the hell they're doing. Right? Anyway, I like the job that Ken Holland has done with the management. With the roster, it's completely different. I think he could still make another move or two, but he's running out of time. Right? And I've been saying that. He's running out of time. It's the management where he's been successful thus far. Now, that being said, no, I think that's it. So, I like the hires. I hope they help. If they don't, well, that's life. It's hit or miss. But for me right now, I like the management style. I like where management is at right now. I just wish that our management would be a little bit more proactive in helping the team become better. Because, as I said yesterday, they made a promise. And you know what? Actually, I do want to get a little negative for a second here before I end this video. I do want to get a little negative. The problem that Ken Holland has made, the mistake that Ken Holland made, was he made a promise. When he was doing his interview, he said that the plan was for the Oilers to make the playoffs in the 2020 playoffs. That was his plan. If you're a new GM and if you're coming to a team that you know has some problems, it doesn't hurt to be a little truthful with the media. I don't know if this is an unwritten rule in sports or if this is just you trying to um, um, how should I say, spare the feelings of the fan base. But lying is not a good thing to do. And I know that generally goes without saying, but like, don't come in and go, oh yeah, we're going to make the playoffs. What Ken should have done, or what I would have done, is I would have come in knowing this team is full of problems, and I would have gone, look, I'm going to do everything I can to improve the team. But there are no guarantees that it's going to work. And there are no guarantees we're going to make the playoffs. That's what I would have done. How hard is that? The fans already know this team sucks. If you go online today, if you go on Twitter, if you go to OilersNation.com, if you go to every site that talks about the Oilers roster right now, everyone's going to say the same thing. And they're all going to say, this roster is not playoff. Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. They're all going to say that this roster is not playoff worthy. They're not. You cannot go into next season with the roster as it stands today. So, if Ken Holland doesn't manage to get a top 6 winger, excuse me for 1 second. Sorry about that, person knocking at the door. I would edit this out, but like I said, spitballing, one take. So where was I? So as I said yesterday, Ken Holland cannot go into next season with the roster as it stands right now. It is simply not good enough, and you're not going to make the playoffs. And at this point in time, he's made a promise, and if he doesn't deliver on that promise, we are going to eat him alive. And we're already doing that now because we've seen this story before. They've made promises to us about how this move is going to help us, or this player is going to help us, or this goalie is going to help us, or this defenseman is going to help us. And they don't. They don't. And we end up wasting our time. Anyway, I don't want to get into a rant again because I've already done that. So, I'll say this. I like what Ken has done with the management part of the team. The roster part needs work. But, as I said yesterday, there isn't really anything he can do. His hands are kind of tied. His hands are tied. Right? But, it's infuriating when other GMs are able to move bad contracts, and Ken is just sitting on his ass doing nothing. That's the frustrating part. It's not the fact he can't do anything. It's the fact that other GMs are able to move unmovable contracts. The Marleau contract, and this is why I pointed out Dubas yesterday. The Marleau contract was deemed unmovable. The Zaitsev contract was deemed unmovable. And yet, they're no longer on Toronto. Yeah, Dubas had to give up a first rounder to get rid of Marleau, and he had to get rid of Connor Brown to get rid of Zaitsev. But he did get rid of 2 contracts that were unmovable. And the thing that he had to get rid of in order to get the thing he had to add to the deal to get rid of those bad deals aren't major players. He didn't have to get rid of Austin Matthews to get rid of Patrick Marleau. He didn't have to get rid of William Nylander to get rid of Nikita Zaitsev. He didn't have to get rid of Mitch Marner or Andreas Johnsson or Kasperi Kapanen to get rid of, anything. He had to get rid of Kadri and Who was the other guy you got rid of? And Rosen to get Barry and Kerfoot. But you could argue that Kerfoot and Barry are a step up from Cal Rosen and Nazem Kadri. So other GMs have been able to move unmovable contracts. Why can't Ken? Oh wait, I forgot. Because this is the Edmonton Oilers we're talking about. They can't do anything right except make the playoffs once every 10 years. So anyway, that's it for the video. I like the hires. I like what Ken has done with the management group thus far. So I'm going to keep that in mind when going forward. There is something to be positive about, and I don't think I know I haven't stated this. His pressers have been good. As much as I don't like his roster moves, his management moves have been good, and what he said at press conferences has been, I don't want to say refreshing, but it's been nice, because he's coming in with a lot of energy, and he clearly kind of has a plan, I guess, but we'll see how that plan works out come September. So, boy, what a day. Oh, man. So, yeah, that's it. That's it for the video. I'm going to cut it out here, well, in a few seconds, because I don't want to extend my welcome. And next time I'm on, I guess I will have a video for you guys. Maybe something gameplay related. I don't know. I really should hook up my computer. Ooh. That's a good idea. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Click like if you guys like the video. Click subscribe if you guys are new. Tell all your friends, yada, yada, yada. I know I ripped that off from Steve Dangle, but it's appropriate. And he didn't patent it or copyright it, so anyway, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Hopefully when the Oilers do something positive. Toodles!